Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to show you one of my most used tools. It is very inexpensive and honestly, you've probably seen me use it numerous times before. Now this tool is usually an afterthought and honestly saves my card project most of the time. So stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you what it is. So here's a look at the Perfect Day stamp set and also coordinating stencil that I will be using. There are tons of amazing sentiments on here, perfect for those wedding day cards. Now the stencil is a layering stencil to add in color to that wreath. And it is a clear stencil now, which is really nice to be able to see the lines underneath. Included in this set is this clear piece that actually kind of goes in the middle. So it's going to mask off the middle of your card if you want to do a one layer card. And there's also other layers to start building up the color of your image. At the top right corner, it also tells you what layer this is. So there's layer 1 that fills in part of the flowers. Layer 2 adds more color to the flowers. Then we have layer 3, which has some leaves, and layer 4 also has some colors to add to your leaves to go around the wreath. Now, whenever I'm stamping an image first and then putting stencils over the top, I like to stamp in a light brown. So any type of light brown ink would work here. And I'm going to stamp this down onto some smooth white cardstock. The reason I start with this first is a lot of times my black ink, if you don't let it dry very well, it can smear when you add color on top. So by starting with a light brown, I have less chance of it smearing. And plus, a lot of times I can go for a no line look if I like that result. Now I'm going to leave that stamp set in that exact place in my Misty tool in case I want to come back in later to stamp it in black or a darker color. So I am using my Make Art Station to hold my stencil down over my cardstock, and I'm going to start by ink blending Faded Brick by Gina Designs. It is a beautiful fall red, and once I blended that on with the first layer, I'm going to bring in the second layer with Prickly Pear, which I also thought was a great fall combo. Now, as soon as I blended this, I'm noticing that there is a part of a flower from the previous stencil that got covered in that prickly pear, and I wasn't paying attention. And I didn't want that because obviously that's a red and a yellow on the same flower. So I brought back in the first layer and I'm going to add Faded Brick back over the top. So I'm trying to fix my mistake without having to start over. So you're going to see me work through this process. Now, obviously that's way too dark of a petal from my previous color. So I'm just going to go back in with that first layer again and just completely cover that whole area and try and get it to match. Now I'm bringing in the third layer of the stencil and I'm going to add light spruce using a mini ink blending brush. A lot of times, since these are clear stencils and it's quite honestly kind of hard to see where the openings are, I'll take my finger and just kind of feel over the top of it in case I missed anything. Now, these mini ink blending brushes are from Gina Designs, but that's only because I keep my Honeybee Stamps blending brushes for Distress Oxides only. So I like to have separate brushes for my dye inks. Now I'm still holding this third layer in place, but I'm bringing in dark spruce and I'm just going to one edge of the leaves to add a little bit of contrast. Now this last is the last layer of the stencil and I'm going over all of those areas with that spruce again, just kind of adding some color. This is kind of on the light spruce, but I will come in with the dark spruce again and just add a little bit of the contrast to those leaves. I really do like that these stencils are clear because I can really see where everything is and how my color is looking all together. So after I finish this, I'm really happy with the result and how I was able to fix my flowers, but my lines kind of are a little bit too light. So I'm bringing this back into my Misty and I'm going to stamp this image again in Chocolate Truffle, which is a really dark brown. So this is why I left that stamp set in my Misty tool so I could place my cardstock in the same place and stamp it again. Then I'm going to use the coordinating die to die cut out this wreath. For my background, I'm going to use the Mod A2 cover plate, and I die cut that 3 times from some heavyweight cardstock. I'm using my Honeybee Stamps liquid glue to add to the back and attach to a white cardstock panel that is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to layer all these together to create dimension. There are some amazing sentiments on that Perfect Day stamp set, but this stamp set, which is the Miss You Big Time, is one of my favorites from Honeybee Stamps. So I took this Best Wishes and stamped it in intense black ink and then using the coordinating die to die cut that out. And I really like how big this is going to be and fit inside that wreath. So I'm going ahead and adding liquid glue behind that wreath, and I'm going to add this on top of my card panel and then place a couple of heavy blocks on top to let that sit for a few minutes. I also had taken that Best Wishes coordinating die and die cut it about 2 or 3 more times and layering that together so that it's going to pop up off of the wreath and just it creates some visual separation. I'll then add liquid glue to the back of this and add it to the front of the card. Now looking back, I kind of wished I would have added my wreath a little bit higher on the card front and placed my sentiment a little bit higher. But all in all, I'm fairly happy with how this is turning out. Honeybee Stamps offers an amazing assortment of pearls and gems, and they're all self-stick adhesive. They already have adhesive on the back. I like to keep mine in these little photo storage containers. I did have to trim the packaging down a little bit to make them fit, but for the most part, I really love using those photo storage containers. And I just chose some pearls off of the Warm Pearls mix and adding them kind of off on the side there, 3 on top and 3 on the bottom, because I like to work in odd numbers. So now the moment you've been waiting for, the tool that I think every crafter should have is a white gel pen. This thing has saved me so many times. I felt like this card there was something missing. I don't know if it's because I used the dark brown ink for my image, but something was missing. And so I dug out my white gel pen and I'm just going through and adding highlights. Sometimes I have a line and 2 dots, and other times I'm just adding a couple little dots. And this really just brings the image to life and adds that little bit of something that you just felt you were missing. It is my top recommended tool and really inexpensive. And that's going to finish off my card project for you today, creating this fall-themed wedding card. All of my supplies will be listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. If you enjoyed today's video and would like to see more from me, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you're notified when new videos are posted. Here are a few more videos I think you might enjoy.